Hey, what's up, sports fans, and welcome back to another episode of Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF. RPF, my dear friend, it was a so-so weekend in the world of football, meaning there wasn't a whole lot to watch, but we're going to get into the key games to clue in on. I do want to jump in with one thing real quick before we get going, but first, as always, my dear friend, I want to ask you, how are you this week?
I'm good. Kind of good. We're recording this on Halloween, so I've been avoiding everything pumpkin spice everywhere I go. It's been a true full tackle, full contact sport, avoiding that odious flavor. But I will say, on the flip side, on the positive side, as a Swiftie, it is the re-release week of 1989, her epic album that changed everything. So I'm rethinking all things Harry Styles. I'm really happy about the 5 Vault songs that are tremendous. I mean, it's all, different podcast, different day, but kind of not. We'll figure it out.
Got it. Well, it is Halloween, and I do have an 11-year-old, so it's chaos around here. We had a nice pumpkin carving, family. A bunch of families came over. It was not my house; it was a neighbor's house. I would never.
I actually been to one of your pumpkin carving events, and so I'm quite familiar with the competitive nature of that exercise.
But this was not our event; it was the neighbors. So it was pumpkin carving for the kids, and then there was a costume contest for the adults. And I don't want to get into it too much, but I am a little proud. I took home best costume prize for the evening, and I will just say that my
insert photo here.
Yeah, for sure. I'll dig one up because they do exist, unfortunately. But I will say, kind of along similar to T Swift, just a little bit way before her. My costume was inspired by Britney Spears.
Oh wow! Were you Justin? Perhaps?
No, not at all.
Oh,
not at all.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. The theme of the night was sort of like high school themes, like iconic high school themes. I will say
Please tell me you did not wear like bobby socks and pigtails.
I may or may not have. I don't know.
Oh my goodness. Hit me one more time indeed.
That's the one right there. But it spurred me to pose this question for you, RPF.
Yes.
Could Britney Spears play better quarterback than what the Giants currently have?
Yes, but before I answer fully, I will tell you, fun fact, I actually was the second person ever to interview Britney Spears.
Oh,
back
ever
from that era, right when she was releasing the day after she finished filming the video for "Hit Me, Baby, Hit Me One More Time" or whatever it was called, and she was in high school or just left high school. And I asked her what she missed most about high school. She said her friends, and she couldn't go to prom because she's on a world tour with her #1 album. So it was a very, and I was the editor of Teen Celebrity Magazine. In case anyone's wondering why I would be talking to a 15-year-old. But it was
just to clarify, we need to get this
just
out
to clarify, but she wasn't there with her parents. She was there with some guardian woman who was very nice. But anyway, the point is that Britney was sweet, but the idea of you, the juxtaposing visuals in my head of you becoming Britney Spears and from that era, and actually talking to her from that era, might be too much for my brain to
might
take.
be too much. You know what? I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to guarantee you it will be too much. It'll
be something that I can't unsee. Correct?
That is for certain.
Well, I'm glad we're talking about my other pop princess, but we'll be talking about her heir apparent, which became, of course, T Swizzle. But we'll talk about her.
Yep, sure. But at any rate, I jest, but I kind of don't jest. The Giants. Oh. Did you realize the Giants quarterback
did not pass in the second half?
Did you realize they finished the game with -9 passing yards?
That's hard to do.
Negative, not 9. Negative.
I think I'll go further. I think Ariana Grande could probably play quarterback with more success than that.
Right.
And she's half Britney's size, which says a lot.
Right,
Britney's like size 0.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like Britney's got that like I'll fuck you up mentality too.
Well, don't get between her and an umbrella. I mean, I'm just saying.
Anyway,
goodness.
let's get into our week 8 recap. The week kicked off with the Bucks and Bills, of course. There was nothing really a whole lot surprising that the Bills won 24-18. I think everyone had the Bills winning. We had the Bucks putting up some points. It was, it was kind of what it was supposed to be.
Boring, expected, and why am I watching this type of moment? But I will tell you this: the NFL gods and giveth, because week 8 was, with very few exceptions, which we'll talk about briefly, was just a wash. It's just a complete nonsense.
It was so boring.
Week 9 has the potential to have 5 not good,
it's gonna be good.
Epic games. And of those 5, 3 for sure will be like, eye poppers. So it's going to be interesting. And then, thankfully, they've been spaced out for our pleasure. Morning, noon, afternoon, late game.
You noticed that, right?
Yeah, I did notice that. It's going to be a bad weekend for football widows all over the country. I'm just saying.
That's right.
Like just go overnight somewhere with your girlfriends and don't even worry about football.
Right.
Your husband will eat pretzels and coffee the whole time.
That's right.
Or whatever.
It's just right. DoorDash for the weekend.
Uber Eats for me, but yes, same notion.
I'm sorry.
It's a little more elevated.
I apologize.
It's the same food it's more expensive for the same food, but I feel better about it somehow.
Okay. And then moving on to Sunday's lineup.
What is beer cheese, by the way? Why is that popular? And then go ahead.
What cheese? What? I didn't hear you.
Beer cheese. Have you heard of that?
Oh, beer cheese. Yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, and I don't really know what makes it beer. But and also, is it just because it goes with beer, or?
No, I think it has beer in it, and not only that, but doesn't you think it'll be better beer if you could put cheese? Cheese is delicious anyway. You have it, but then you put beer. Why not have the best beer and make it like couture beer? Like couture beer cheese, not like Schlitz beer or something horrifying. No offense to our potential sponsors on Schlitz.
This episode brought to you by Schlitz.
And it goes beep, and then we go off the air. Okay, we're derailing. Let's go.
Yeah, and I love it.
Who cares? Bills won. Who cares?
Bills won. Yeah. Moving on to Sunday. RPF. The Chiefs lost to the Broncos 24-9. Like not even like a 1-point game where you're like,
you may be surprised, but I have thoughts.
So here's what I have. Here's what I got noted here. Russell Wilson, this is one of the most amazing stats I've seen in a long time. Russell Wilson throws for a measly 114 yards, but with 3 touchdowns. How's that even possible?
Well, it gets better because I think, look, to be honest, this is not only the real shocker of the week, this is the real shocker of the year. Okay? Because just a few weeks ago, this same Denver team gave up 70 points to Miami. Right. People were assuming, Miami's so great, which, obviously I would like to think that. But the Denver defense was just non-existent. I mean, they were just not even there. That same defense with no changes, wait for it, same starting lineup as Miami game, gave up 9 points to the mighty Chiefs, who have not scored less than 30 the entire season. So here we go, with the exception of the Detroit game that they lost. So here's the thing. So that is...
they lost to my Lions, is that what you're saying?
They lost to your Lions, to your mighty Lions, which, by the way, kind of roaring. Anyway, but, like house cat Lions. But Mahomes, no TDs, 2 INTs. Kelsey, as we know, 58 yards. Okay. I'm going to say the obvious. They were not only lackluster, I completely blame Taylor Swift. I mean, it's clearly the reason why this happened.
Clearly. Absolutely. Clearly.
But here's my fright night. Talk about Halloween. This was a real... When the Chiefs were frightening in my house city. They were just a fright. So I'm hyper concerned. I'll say it slowly. Very muy worried. Preocupado, as they say in Spain. I'm very worried about the bounce back game in Frankfurt, Germany against Miami.
Next week,
yeah. Can you remember?
Well, it just depends
when
on
the Chiefs lost 2 weeks in a row. Can you even recall ever the Chiefs? Not ever, but the Chiefs losing 2 weeks in a row before Mahomes
in recent history.
After Mahomes got there?
Yeah, not really.
Not really. I mean, exactly. So anyway, my point is, hopefully the time difference, hopefully Taylor is has caught up in customs in Argentina and can get to Frankfurt.
You're gonna put a phone call in?
No, I have to revise a little bit about last week's podcast when I wasn't quite clear about her schedule. Taylor actually, get this, finishes her Indianapolis concert, her last American concert this year, like 3 days before, on Wednesday before the Sunday game. Okay, and then she starts in Buenos Aires Wednesday of next week. So, damn it, she has the time to actually fly to Frankfurt, Germany, if she so desires. I hope they get into a little argument, but not a big one. I love them, but but now I'm thinking she's going to be showing up there with Schnitzel, high-fiving Patrick Mahomes' wife. So I'm just like, Brittany. Her name is Brittany too, I think. So anyway, so it's kind of funny. Anyway, so not to belabor this, but we have to shake it off because we have to. Miami has to get
nice one. I see what you did there.
Miami has to step up because we have lots of positivity going our way. But we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yes, this revealed the Chiefs for being what they are.
A one-trick pony. It does. I mean, like and that's the reason why I emphasized the Chiefs 9. Like it wasn't, listen, all great teams throughout the course of their season have these like stupid hiccup games where it's like, what the hell was that? But this was like, what?
This wasn't it. This was fundamental.
What are you doing?
this was like systemic. This looked like
right.
And again, they're known for just laying back, waiting for Mahomes to be Mahomes. Mahomes wasn't feeling well, by the way. And on top of that, another classic drop for the Chiefs wide receivers. Sorry, but Tyreek Hill must be like chuckling to himself or on his podcast about these Chiefs receivers who cannot. I mean, Mahomes lays balls in there like I could catch them, and not do much after that. Just want to be clear. just catch, catch and drop, which is my patented move. But
catch and take a knee. Please don't hit me.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'll create the world's first fair catch when I'm catching a ball in the open field. I'll be like,
you're running down. You're like,
exactly. I'll be like, wait, new rule. Or flag football, Okay.
Anyway, it was a bad game for the Chiefs.
It's a bad game. Mahomes was the Chiefs, by the way. I mean, this game for Miami is important, but this game, it's like sorry, but just to give you 1 second preview before we get to the preview. This game is such a statement game.
You just want to talk about the Dolphins.
No. But I'm saying, but this is such an important game. Miami has 2 losses: the Bills and the Eagles, the 2 marquee games that they've had. Arguably, at the time, the games of the year for the NFL. They didn't get beat. They got blown out in both games for different reasons. Horrifying. Yeah, they beat up all the shit teams. No offense to the Patriots, but they beat all the teams that have a losing record, and as they should, including Denver and the Patriots and everything else. So now, what happens? The Chiefs have now become this paper tiger we've all been kind of thinking about. They expose themselves. Now they're meeting. They're both 6-2. The winner of this game becomes the number 1 seed midway through the season of the AFC. So this game is a statement game for both teams that are going to come together. It could be a classic. It could be like, what's happening? These 2 teams are supposed to be so good, right? So we'll find out.
We will find out. Also, another big game. Probably, I think this might be the biggest headline of my weekend. Because for a couple of reasons, there's a little more intricacy than just the game result. But the Bengals 31 over the 49ers 17 in San Francisco. A lot of things happening here. So the Bengals look like the Bengals again. B, the 49ers.
Hi, Jamar.
appear to not be the team everyone thought they might be. And then C, if you couple that with the Browns' loss to the Seahawks 24-20, all of a sudden, don't look twice, but all of a sudden the Seahawks are in first place over in the NFC West. And
I wrote down Bengals and Seahawks are sleepers. One is a shock. The other one's a shock.
But I think, correct me if you feel differently, but I think I'm more shocked by the 49ers. Like they're just,
I
think,
first of all, how could Brock Purdy to quickly jump in? Brock Purdy was Tom Brady in year 2, the whole time until he hadn't thrown a pick since at home. He's been, if nothing else, he's been efficient. He's protecting the ball. He's not making stupid moves. And people are just like, wow, this kid, which by the way, he's still a kid, completely just kind of defied expectation. He's regressing.
Yeah.
Not this. All of a sudden, he's lost 3 in a row. The Niners have lost 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Only one of those games had no McCaffrey and Samuel, which I can chalk up to whatever.
Right. The game without both of them, it's like, hey man, listen,
injury, hiccups, people are just kind of exactly. Not 3 in a row.
Yeah, not 3 in a row.
That's either
for
coaching or that's diminishing talent, and that is a very big concern for the Niners fans, I would think, because all of a sudden there's Samuel, there's McCaffrey, and Brock is throwing picks.
Yep, not good.
So that not good. And on the flip side of that. Oh yeah, there they are. Hi, Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, right. I am Joe Burrow. I keep forgetting. Right. You're right. I'm not.
Hiding.
Anyway,
they were using their tiger stripe camouflage.
I think, yeah. And I think just to quickly just say one thing about next week again, the Bills at Bengals game. Boing, 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 boing. It's going to be eye-opening. Plus, not to say nothing about the rematch that never was from last year. So, that intense emotional game. But anyway, but I'm skipping ahead. But yes, the Bengals are for real. I think the 49ers are this game, man, coming up. It's going to be a big deal.
Yep, absolutely. Elsewhere around the league, we've got the previously mentioned Jets 13 over the Giants 10. That game was just absolutely abysmal. It was a grand total between both teams, a total of 440 yards of offense.
Which, by the way, it felt like 400 yards less than that. And
if I'm not mistaken, I know. If I'm not mistaken, they set an NFL record with like 24 punts combined or something like that.
Oh my God. Here's the thing.
It was like 21, 20, between 21 and 24, somewhere in there.
I think I always had this fantasy that the punts weren't allowed. You had to go for it on 4th down. And every team has to go for it. I think that'd be such a fun game to watch. If I had to do a new football league, no punting allowed. None.
No punting.
Isn't that great? And you can't take a knee because that becomes a turnover. So it becomes a really fun ending to the game. Anyway, so here's the thing. The Jets, having said all that, the Giants had no right to lose this game.
We didn't need to go into this game. I'm just
saying it was insanity. All of a sudden, they had the ball with a minute left, and somehow they lost. I mean, what the hell was happening? I mean, Zach Wilson, who cannot literally throw the football.
Oh my gosh!
Throw this football. He's throwing like a wiffle ball or something. He threw this football down the field for the first time and got in position for a chip and field goal to tie the game with no time left. What? And then this awful, abysmal, horrifying excuse for a football game went into overtime. So more fun. I kept thinking, if I was a Giants fan, I'd be like, oh, no. I want a refund. And then nothing happens, of course, halfway through the overtime. And then they go, oh, yeah, I can chip in a field goal. And the Jets won the game somehow. Oh, my God.
Yep.
I think this should be
this is a classic example. We talked about it last week about the pass interference calls, and this is a classic example of one of those. The Jets, I forget if it was the game tire or the game winner in overtime.
And it was
it got set up on a pass interference where they heaved. I mean, granted, they were within field goal range, but it would have been a long one. It would have been 55 yards.
In this game, they were
no. It would have been like a 55, a long 50, 55, 58 yard field goal. But Greg Zuerlein's got a leg on him. Anyway,
yeah, he does.
It was a long shot, but they were. I don't want to make it sound like they had no prayer, but they heave up this ball downfield and they get a pass.
It was a goose egg. It was complete goose egg up there.
They heave this ball downfield and they get a pass interference, and all of a sudden they're sitting at the 20, and I'm thinking like. This is my exact example of what gripes me is that the entire game, this quarterback could not complete a pass anywhere.
And he still didn't.
And he still didn't. Yet he gets him set up at the 20-yard line for a game winner. And it's just like that to me when the game's going. Like, would I have felt differently if Zach Wilson was like, I don't know, at that time, like 25 for 30 with like 300 yards? I would have, because I'd be like, he's got a good game going. But he's just had an absolute garbage game going, and he just like closes his eyes and heaves it. And there's a penalty. And he's like, "Oh, we're going to win now."
I'm convinced that the refs didn't want to get in that traffic in Holland Tunnel, or the Lincoln Tunnel. They wanted to get back to the city and go to Little Italy for a bowl of pasta. They were over this game too, and they said, "You know what? This is a chip shot. Let's do it this way."
Yeah,
just saying. NFL commissioner.
I had enough. Also around the league, Jaguars 20 over the Steelers 10. I think we expected it.
But I think the expectations from the experts, because my RPF computer power rankings does not put them at number 2 like everyone else has.
2? Who's at 2?
Jaguars.
What?
It's crazy. Yeah. Look at it. It's been nuts. It's been
what?
Jags should be to me our top 7 certainly, but not top 2. So anyway, I think people are overreacting to everyone else is coming down a little bit, and Jaguars are still ascending. There's something to say about it. They're the longest winning streak team right now, but we'll see.
We got the Eagles 38 over the Commanders 31. Anything on this game here?
Again, the Eagles kind of bend don't break second half stuff. They have to come back yet again. The Dolphin game was the only game that they actually had it inverted. But I think the Eagles are again not as great as people think. Oh no, their defense is kind of wobbly at times. It's weird.
Yep. Vikings 24 over the Packers 10. The only thing I got here is just the sad news of losing Kirk Cousins for the season. Torn Achilles.
My gosh.
Yeah, it's just what's wrong?
Oh my goodness, that is such. I mean, they were to me the Seahawks and the Vikings were ascending, kind of like sleepily, moving up the ranks, and Green Bay is done. The love is gone entirely from the Green Bay offense.
the love
but
is
I think
gone.
the Vikings. I don't know who they. I mean, they have like 8 bad choices to replace him because they're looking around and they don't. Half the teams need quarterbacks. Like what's. Anyway, so it's just a sad state of affairs.
Yes, it is. Titans 28 over the Falcons 23. You got anything here? I got nothing.
No, Derrick Henry was told he wasn't going to get traded after all the rumors again. So, he's like, damn it. He's like, get me out of here.
All right, I guess I'll play.
Yeah, exactly. He's playing for a contract.
We got Saints 38 over the Colts 27. I got nothing. I mean, nothing here really.
Derek Carr showed up. Could Derek Carr have an ascension? Did he wake up finally?
Did he wake up? Yeah,
in week 8.
This be it. Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not convinced.
We do have the Panthers. The Panthers pulling off a win, 15-13 over the Texans in the battle of the 1-2 pick.
That was kind of rough to watch too. I mean, I was watching that. I mean, good for them. I think the fact there's no one undefeated and there's no one that's winless gives me a little bit of comfort that I don't have to wish for underdog type of stuff. So I think this is the least harmful game in a way that they could win without offending anybody. So I think that's okay. I don't care.
Right.
In other words, I don't care. Yeah.
Let's see. We've got the already mentioned Seahawks 24 over the Browns 20. The Ravens 31.
This game was interesting. This
Cardinals
game, by the way, just
24.
quickly say,
you want to go back to the
Browns were
there?
in control of this game. And again, they had a late pick, and everything was kind of hunky dory, as they say. And then it wasn't. Then all of a sudden, Geno Smith said, "Oh yeah, I can do this," and he drove them down the field. And anyway, so that wasn't like a foregone conclusion. In fact, I think they had 2 lead changes only the whole game. So it was a Browns game to win, and they lost it. So anyway.
Yeah. I know you're dying to talk about the Chargers 30 over the Bears 13.
No. I am not.
Nope. you can move on. And then let's see.
Herbert looked good, though. Herbert looked good.
Of course. I was saving this one before we get to another key game, but we had our matchup, of course, RPF. And I, maybe I was just subconsciously just not even glossing over it. We had the Dolphins 31 over the Patriots 17.
I want you to acknowledge that I had such restraint.
It should have been. It should have been 31-10, really. But
I will tell you this: in the beginning, everyone knows who watches or sees or hears this that last week I went off on this rant, justifiably, about the officiating against the Eagles in the Dolphin game. That was it was a blowout anyways, but it was just made even more pathetic by having 10 penalties against us and 0 against the Eagles. Yeah. All of a sudden, midway through this week, the NFL office released an unusual missive to everyone, saying, and ESPN reported this, Adam Schefter, that NFL acknowledges 6 calls, 3 non-calls and 3 calls that were played. again that went against Miami during that game that were incorrect. 6. We're talking about one pass interference play can change the outcome of a game, which is just we just witnessed. 6 is not insignificant, and all of those 6 calls, as I mentioned last week, were for either Dolphins first downs or preventing the other team from getting a first down. So that was a significant admission that the fact the officiating is what, terrible or
it's awful.
But I will say this to you, and this is honestly the truth: the overcompensating for those mistakes that the refs in Miami gave Miami was kind of eye-popping. 3 calls, at the very least, that I could tell were incorrect.
Yeah, they're pretty garbage. They were pretty garbage. But listen,
that pass interference in the end zone, completely ridiculous. First of all, couldn't catch it. Second of all, didn't touch him. So how's that for a double whammy? And all of a sudden, and I felt soiled. I felt dirty because that's exactly what happens to us all the time. And I was like, really?
Right.
The Patriots have to be
You just don't want it. It's not that
I don't want it exactly. I don't want it that way. I want it to be fair. I want it to be fair for everybody.
Of course, you don't want it against your team, but you don't want it called for your team. Also, it's just like just get rid of it. Like I'm
a sports fan. I like to beat the best in front of me. We're the best, That's
but listen, there's really nothing to talk about the game. Yes, there was a couple bad calls. Even if we got the calls, we weren't going to win.
But you guys don't have playmakers. Playmakers.
Well, not anymore. We lost Devontae Parker and Kendrick Bourne. See ya.
Devontae was overplaying with the Dolphins, right? And he was a former Dolphin. And then, of course, Jalen Ramsey was very funny. I don't know if you saw the head coach, McDaniel from Miami. He said he was very disappointed. And first of all, Ramsey came back like 2 months earlier than everyone said he would come back. So he came back and he had this insane rehab schedule that apparently was like mind-blowing. He came back and he told the coach that he's going to do a pick 6 that game just to make sure that league is aware that he's back. So sure enough, he does. I don't know if you saw the instant replay, but he did a misdirection and fooled the quarterback and came back around and picked it up. And he did almost a big 6, but he stepped out of bounds. And the coach was like, you talk a big game, you got to back it up. And he did not back it up. He was very funny. But anyway, Ramsey changes the dimension. I know it's the Patriots, but at least it was a good warm-up game for him to face
I noticed
Mahomes.
What you just did right there, by the way. I noticed how you made that pick 6 like all about how good Jalen Ramsey is and not how awful that throw was.
I was trying to be kind. It was a really shit pass.
I knew because you had mentioned last week that Jalen Ramsey was coming back. So as soon as he picked it, I was like, oh my God, Richard's going to bring this up. And I was like, no, I'm not allowing it because let's go back to earlier in this episode. You could have caught that, Richard.
No, I was going to say to complete our Pop Divas references. I think this one, Lady Gaga could have definitely caught.
It was so bad.
It was bad.
Even as soon as Mac Jones started to cock back, I was like, oh God.
No, but about Mac Jones, he doesn't throw the ball hard. It's weird.
He doesn't.
He floats it up
noodle
there.
arm.
Yeah. What's that about? Anyway, the point is, this is a good type of buffer game for Miami to kind of gear up. And now they're all already in Germany. They're in Frankfurt, so we'll see what happens there.
And then the last game we had was the Lions 26 over the Raiders 14. That was a Monday nighter for us. And
it wasn't that close. It was like blowout.
Yeah, it wasn't as close as the score. I mean, the score's not that close, but it wasn't as close as the score indicates. And I think the Lions looked better than 26 points. But other than that,
first of all, they needed this game to come back from the debacle they had in Baltimore.
That's correct.
They still don't look great, by the way, just to be clear. I don't think they're cooking with gas yet. They're kind of like revving up possibly. So I think, to your point, your mighty Lions could be gearing up for like a Thanksgiving feast or something. First they're playing the Packers, so they should have it should be a blowout for them. When was the last time we saw a Lions blowout for them on Thanksgiving? So that should be fun. But the thing is, the next week's game, it's going to be. I mean, the Lions, the next games coming up, if they're truly ascending. They could be, arguing for the Eagles and them being the top spot, in the NFC. So,
speaking of NFC, I almost forgot one here. The Rams 20, Cowboys 43. Dak Prescott goes 25 for 31 with 304 yards, 4 TDs. CeeDee Lamb, 12 receptions, 158 yards, 2 TDs.
Yeah, this was a real shocker to me.
What's that?
This was a real shocker to me. Not so much the Cowboys because they're completely Jekyll and Hyde. I'm exhausted with the Cowboys. I literally emotionally cannot take this on. Next week they'll lose 31-0 or something. So I mean, it's just crazy. I don't understand what's happening in Dallas. They're like I think they're like bipolar team of all time. So, but I will say
the one thing I will know
Rams,
on Dallas, real quick on Dallas, and it's all the only thing I want. The one thing I will know is that it appears that they finally said, "Oh, CeeDee Lamb is our number one receiver. We should throw him the ball."
Exactly. Something we all knew, right?
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
But Dak sometimes goes on a walkabout and doesn't even, it's like here's Ezekiel. Oh, wait, he's not with me anymore. What's happening?
Not here anymore.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, where's Tony Dorsett? Oh, wait, what? Anyway, that's a little Google it, kids.
Google it.
Google it. Yeah, I think the Rams were the part I want to talk about. They were our kind of fun team, right? The offense, those wide receivers.
Yeah. Say it with me, Puka Nacua.
Puka Nacua,
Tutu
Cup is back fully, and they're fully stocked on offense. They're all healthy. The defense is pretty healthy. That defense ain't gonna get you there, and that's the shocking part. I mean, and they have a great coach, and they have a cool uniform. They have the most beautiful stadium in football. They have everything going for them. They're in LA. They're gonna be on Sunset Strip with all the supermodels. Nothing is stopping them from being America's team, really, except their defense, and that has to be fixed, or it may be too late. But we'll see.
Yep. It's interesting. I kind of had it noted like, could this be for the Cowboys? Could this be the pivotal swing in momentum that they've desperately been looking for?
I hope not, because Miami plays them in Miami on Christmas, I believe, or Christmas Eve.
Well, the nice thing about that is we're going to get that answer this coming week, actually. Right. So that great segue into what the week ahead. The Cowboys are going to be taking on the Eagles, which is going to be a great game. Like you teased earlier, we've got a fantastic lineup of games coming up in week 9 here, of basically right out of the gate from 9:30 a.m. and then every single time slot has a real marquee game that should be pretty good.
I'm glamping in my living room. I planned not to leave my living room. I mean, I literally changed plans. I had all this stuff happening. I thought I misspoke to somebody like a year ago, 6 months ago, when I thought this weekend might be the bye week for us, and it's not. It's next week. So I was like, okay, I have to reschedule like 9 people's schedule because I will not be attending this thing. Anyway, but yes. 9:30 in the morning. Do you want to start? You want to do it in chronological order, or you want to do it by?
Hang on real quick. We'll just so the week kicks off Thursday with the Titans Steelers, and listen, the Steelers. Don't sleep on that game. I know it's not super exciting for a lot of fans, but the Steelers are one of those teams that just prime time. They're just fun to watch. They're hard nosed.
They like all the eyeballs watching them. They like the national coverage. I think Derrick Henry could make a statement game again, considering that he's been the talk of he's expendable or some way. I think he could be. But again, who's quarterbacking the Titans? I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Is Tannehill still hurt?
I don't know. That's a great question. One that I'm not too concerned about. Here we go. So going into Sunday, here's our lineup. Starting at 9:30, coming out of Germany, we've got the 6-2 Dolphins taking on the 6-2 Chiefs. RPF, go ahead.
I think, this is, like I mentioned, this the third time in 6 weeks the Dolphins are involved with the so-called game of the year. The first 2 games were complete duds.
Well, the reason they're always involved in the game of the year is because we want to know if they're actually as good as 6-2.
That's my point.
Yeah,
and it's a legitimate question. It's a legitimate question. Now, they're not in Kansas City, which was scheduled to be. This is an away game for Miami. And they says, I know, let's put them in Frankfurt, Germany. It would have been really fun to watch Tyreek Hill back in Kansas City and see the reaction there. But Frankfurt, Germany, okay, first game ever in Frankfurt, Germany, so that's interesting. Yeah. But here's the thing. This game is it's on neutral ground. So this is a pickup game. This should be strength against strength.
Well, if it's a pickup game and we're drawing plays on the back of a hand, I'm going with Tyreek Hill all day long.
Don't make me draw the flare and tear, the RPF flare and tear from my.
All right, Reek, I want you to run out, fake right, go left, and run as fast as you can.
I have to if that happens, I have to throw the ball as I'm getting it. Just haul it and let him catch under it and just go under it because there's going to be. But anyway, I think this game is going to be really if Mahomes and Kelsey can keep them close. That's the only issue I have. I think the Dolphins can literally, and I'll say this slowly, we can be held to 2 field goals in the first half, and I wouldn't be that worried. Yep. I think that the Chiefs defense
they're so explosive. It's like you can't even
yeah. I mean, even against the Patriots, I mean that perfect little bomb to Tyreek. Which, by the way, it's funny because he ran so fast for that touchdown. They clocked him. He ran faster. He ran to the bench to sit down faster than he did running the play. Anyway, the guy is so fast. Cheetah, indeed. Anyway, but I think my point is that can Mahomes be Mahomes all game long with Kelsey? If he can't, I think Miami has to win this game because
I kind of agree with you.
A marquee team. If not, we're not going to be considered, rightfully so, a contender. I agree. So okay, and the Chiefs again 2 in a row to lose. That's dangerously close to San Francisco territory now. So
that's what makes this game so much fun, right? Is not only are these 2 great teams at 6-2 apiece, but for both teams, this is I'm not going to say a must win, like right. Both of them are probably going to the playoffs no matter what happens in this game, but it's a big sort of indication game. It's a big momentum game. It's a confidence game.
Here's a side note: the networks actually the cover pregame shows for football on Sunday are nervous because this is a game. This is a week that apparently
it's going to take all their pregame show ratings.
That's what I'm saying. No, but this is the predetermined, like before even the schedule comes out. This is the weekend that all the ad rates are determined by ratings. So all of a sudden, let's imagine it's 24-24.
Oh, I gotcha.
In the fourth quarter, and no one's watching ESPN. No one's watching.
Right. No one's watching NFL Countdown. Yeah.
Right.
True.
NFL Today or the Fox and NFL. No one's watching any of the shows because they're all glued to NFL Network watching the exclusive network that has this game. So that could be very, very problematic economically for the NFL and for all these networks. Anyway, so it's very interesting. A side note, the business thing.
Yeah.
All right, but that's an amazing game. I mean,
that's your early game. Then the 1:00, we've got the 5-2 Seahawks taking on the 6-2 Ravens. This is the battle of the birds of prey here.
Should be great. Great.
Should be
great.
This should be a great
defense,
game.
The D line for the Ravens, if they can control Geno Smith and make him run around and improvise, that's the game. If not, if it gets to the linebacker in the secondary, I think that the Seahawks have a legit chance of winning this. So it's going to be really interesting.
I think it's going to be a great game between 2 real gritty type of teams that are both performing well. So
it's the RPF Birdwatcher Special.
And both of these teams, kind of unlike, I don't want to say unlike the Dolphins and Chiefs, but more so than the Dolphins and Chiefs, these 2 teams are like, hey, they don't like either one of them can't really slip up a whole lot because they've got teams right below them that are not going to get into that first place slot.
Well, exactly. The Dolphins would slip into the Ravens and Seahawks category if they lost.
Yeah. I mean, by all intentions right now, in my estimation, the Dolphins are going to win the East. I don't see.
Hope so. Yeah.
I mean, I know you do. You're a fan.
I mean, I hope so. I mean, logically, because we do have the Bills, the Ravens, the Cowboys. We have some real and tough games coming up. So
yeah. All right. So then we go right into the next slot, the 4:25 game, and we've got this is going to be a good one. I'm actually really, really looking forward to this one too. This is the 5-2 Cowboys taking on the 7-1 Eagles. Like I said a minute ago, the Cowboys, had that coming off this big win. Dak played amazing. CeeDee Lamb was amazing. Can you go in and compete with the Eagles?
I think so.
Or are you going to be Jekyll and Hyde?
Correct. I think yes to both. I think they're going to be a little Jekyll-y, but they might catch themselves in time. I think the Eagles, by the way, the thing that bothers me about this game, they're the only team in football that's 7-1. They're not playing 7-1 football. They're not.
I'll agree with you there. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone. I don't mind a 6-2 Cowboys and a 7-2 Eagles. That's more legit sounding to me. So I think the Cowboys have to step up. Again, we've been saying this every week, and it's like every week they go, okay, they're not doing that. So I'm going to say it again. Like you said, maybe they discovered Lamb finally. Prescott's going to be consistent one week after the next, finally. And they could be fooling everybody. They could be kind of getting their groove now all of a sudden. So I think the Cowboys do enough, not a lot. They do enough to squeak by a surprisingly low-scoring game.
Okay. All right. And then the evening game, Sunday Night Football. We've got the 5-3 Bills taking on the 4-3 Bengals. The Bengals are starting to look like the Bengals of old, and the Bills are like, eh.
If I told you that the Week 9 game against the Bills and Bengals, which, by the way, I circled also when the schedule first came out.
Sure, yeah.
Bills and Bengals at Cincinnati again, which was the horrible, situation from last year.
Mar Hamlin, yeah.
If I told you in Week 9, one of these two teams, both of these two teams, if they lost, would be into their fourth loss of the year, you'd be like, right. Both of them are 3-loss teams in Week 9. No.
Yeah.
And sure enough, if the Bills lose, by the way, 5-4, Bills. If the Bengals lose 4-4,
that leads us right into our bonus great game, which is the Monday night game, which on paper is just kind of like, oh, Jets Chargers, like me. But
good game.
If the Bills happen to drop one to the Bengals and the Jets beat the Chargers, which both scenarios are extremely feasible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That catapults the Jets above the Bills in the division, which is kind of like,
oh my God. Without Aaron Rodgers.
Without Aaron Rodgers. I know. It's like wait,
crazy.
What? Yeah.
Listen, as a football fan, and I should not be doing this, I'm really cheering the Jets on because, what? It's just, Zach Wilson I'm sorry. He looks like a nice guy. Looks like a kid that I would hang out with in high school, and he still looks like that. But no. He is the fact that he's even he looks like he's playing with his dad's uniform on. It's like he's so not commanding as a quarterback, and he's still he could be leading a team above the mighty Bills with it's just impossible to me. The idea that the Bills. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I would be excited for Jets fans. I would enjoy that. I would enjoy that.
They had the most disappointing come down in sports. The past decade. So I think they are kind of. But again, are they being set up for another? I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
I have so many friends of mine that are Jets fans that I'm trying to be careful about what I say because they're going to be. They're basically right now like in the corner, just huddling themselves, like trying to figure out if the Jets are for real enough. The fact that they beat the Giants without, I'm like, I still can't get over that ending of that game. I don't understand.
Elsewhere around the league, we've got Vikings, Falcons, Bears, Saints, Rams, Packers. Just stop me if any of these bites tickle your fancy. Commanders, Patriots, Bucks, Texans.
I think the Patriots can't. Commanders score. They lose, but they score a lot of points. The Patriots.
We don't need to spend any time on them.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that game.
Okay.
It's at Gillette, I guess, which is nice.
And are the Lions in their bye week?
They are. My Lions are on their bye week.
So your only team is playing the Commanders this week? Oh, okay.
We got the Bucks, Texans, Cardinals, Browns, Colts, Panthers, Giants, Raiders.
Colts, Panthers. Okay. No, never mind.
Yeah, no, there's not a whole lot. So we've got 5 really, really interesting games, and ironically, in 6 if you include the Thursday night, but we've got 5 really, really interesting games, and awesomely, they are all in different time slots, which is really, really.
So we have enough to watch
cool.
throughout. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, that's football.
Moving on from football. Elsewhere around sports, RPF. I don't know if you saw this or not, but this is a bit of wild, massively sad, but just so freakishly. I don't know what the right word is, but there was a
preventable
hockey
was a
player.
word.
What's that?
Preventable, according to the report today, because he didn't have the right equipment on.
Oh, okay. Well, at any rate, there was a hockey player playing over in England, over in the European leagues, and he was played in the NHL for spurts of a couple seasons, and a gentleman by the name of Adam Johnson is 29 years old, and he died. He died. For all intents and purposes, on the ice almost. He got hit. Skate came up, slit his throat, I don't know if you saw the video or not.
It's just I can't watch that. No, but the thing is, that's always been my biggest fear.
It's honestly amazing to me, and knowing how sharp those skates are, it's honestly amazing to me that this doesn't
happened before. Yeah,
serious injury. It has happened before. They've had
Yeah.
We actually necks
saw
get
that.
slit before, but
Yeah,
they
I
were.
saw that. You know,
Yep.
Detroit. I think
been
the
saved. It's not
Detroit Red
very
Wing
common.
player got. Yeah, I saw.
Yeah.
I always think about the hamstring being or the Achilles being cut.
Sure.
With them not, I'm saying
Well, the skate comes up high enough for that.
Yeah,
kind of.
exactly.
But,
So I think that's my worst thing thinking about that. But this is just beyond. And it's too sad. I'm not going to start. They just came out a report that he wasn't wearing the right.
I just thought I just felt like it kind of needed to be brought up. Just
and I pair that with with like another pop cultural thing, but the death of Matthew Perry from Friends. It was just a shock, and he was a huge hockey fan, as was he was a tennis fan as well. And I've seen him personally. I've seen him. I think I've mentioned in this podcast before. I've been to I believe like 25 straight years to the U.S. Open in New York, as a member of the press. Being editor in chief. But I've been able to see all these stars kind of because we have, as a press person, depends what tier you're in the same section and you have the same privileges as these people, as these famous people. And Matthew Perry is always the one celebrity that doesn't leave. He's there, like, he's like riveted by, a third round match with like some woman with a last name OVA and, that no one's heard of. He's like just there in the match. So he's a real fan. And that's always been impressive. He's always very nice to everyone, apparently. I was talking to one of the people who serve food, who give us our lunch room, whatever. And she was like, because he is funny in real life. He is good. He's funny. Anyway, but I love him for that. I just felt sad for, obviously, for our, we lost a friend, and that's someone we felt we knew. And anyway, but being a hockey fan also, I believe he's Canadian, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why his love of hockey came from. And this, I kind of paired it with Adam Johnson, just the tragedy of a young life snuffed unnecessarily in just doing the thing he loves. And it's just sadness all around. Let's talk about Halloween. That's
sadness
really,
all around.
really sad. Yeah.
On a lighter note, the NBA started this past week. You got any early surprises for us?
Yeah, Miami is toothless. If you can imagine that. Imagine that. They
like
trade
literally?
40% of their starting team and they don't replace it because we had this hopes for this big superstar to come on board, which shall remain nameless for the remainder of my life. Therefore, we lose 40% of our starters and somehow we're not winning. That's interesting.
Weird.
That's so weird. So we're 1-4 so far, or something ridiculous. First of all, thank you, scheduling gods of the NBA, to put three of our first 4 games on the road in 4 nights. So 3 games in 4 nights against teams that aren't that good. Milwaukee, So anyway, so this has been when you talk about Halloween week, this has been a fright. So I watch every game because I'm just I'm a fan, and wow, yeah, Jimmy Butler cannot do it alone, my friends. And
no,
yeah, so that's back. But I will say that LeBron looks like LeBron this week. I don't know if you've seen it. He's 38 years old and he's playing like LeBron when he was 28. Yeah, so that's interesting and fun for the league. And the big trade, the blockbuster trade that happened this morning or late last night, James Harden is now a Clipper. You see that?
Oh, okay. I did not see that.
He was traded with PJ Tucker, one of our starters for the Miami Heat that was traded, and now he's traded again to the Clippers. So PJ Tucker and James Harden are joining the likes of Paul George, Leonard, and Russell Westbrook. So the Clippers they're not young. I mean, they might be like have to inhale into like a bag of it, like an oxygen tank.
Medic.
But if they're doing set pieces, there's very few teams have these 5 that can actually do something interesting. So anyway, the Clippers get, I think, the better part of the deal. The Sixers get a bad attitude guy out of the way. So anyway, so that is my NBA. And look for coming up the new in season round robin kind of World Cup-ish type of playoff. That should be fun.
Actually, the basketball might get me. They might get me.
and what they're doing it interestingly, smartly, they're going to repaint all the home courts to kind of reflect this tournament. So it's not going to just be. So it's going to look visually different than what we were used to for regular games. So. And I think it's a really smart move. Hopefully, we'll see what happens.
Very interesting idea. I'm excited to see kind of how it plays out. I mean, I hope it goes well. I hope it goes well because I would love other sports to do it.
I agree with you.
I
agree with
think
you.
obviously, basketball and hockey have very similar seasons, so it's almost they can kind of almost mimic each other in a way.
100%. Hockey should be doing this like next year, but I would say, but even when we did the not the World Series, what's it called? For baseball, the
World Cup
baseball. No, it's not the World Cup. It's something else. It's called.
I'm sorry, the World Baseball Classic.
A classic that should be in season 2. That'd be so much fun, and I think all of these sports need to kind of jazz it up a little bit because it's they're a little flailing in some ways.
I agree. Speaking of baseball, the World Series is actually underway. We are currently sitting at 2-1. The Rangers have a 2 games to 1 lead over the Arizona Diamondbacks. Game 1 RPF was bonkers. I of course went to bed early and then woke up and was like, "What?"
You always do that. You're like, "Wait, what?"
Well, it was like a double whammy. It was like I went to bed, the Diamondbacks were winning, and then I was like, okay. And I was watching in bed, and then I was like, all right. So I just kind of let the eyes close and fall asleep. And then I get up in the morning and I look at the score, and I'm like, oh my gosh, the Rangers came back and won. And then I'm like, wait, how? And then I look up how, and I'm like, oh my gosh.
I did exactly the same thing for the Jets-Giants game last week. I thought the game was over. Mercifully over. I just couldn't take it anymore. And then, my God. But yes, I will tell you this. First of all, the real surprise of the whole podcast, which is a lot, is that we haven't talked about Taylor Swift quite enough, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Did. Well, enough, I see. Well, that's because we did.
That's the key word there. Secondly, you haven't asked me about why I'm wearing my Red Sox.
I didn't know we had a quota. I'm sorry.
I didn't know why you haven't asked me about my Red Sox jersey today or my Red Sox hoodie today. Because
so many apologies, RPF. Please. Please tell me about your Red Sox.
It is Halloween. It is Halloween, and nothing was scarier than the second half swoon post All-Star break, like failure of my mighty Red Sox. So that's why my Fright Night costume for Halloween is my Red Sox jersey. Which, by the way, I think I mentioned to you privately that I bought it at the gift shop across the street from Fenway Park, and it was like, I don't know, 2,000 people, and I got out of there with like my purchases in about 3 minutes and 10 seconds. I was like, okay, this is how it's done. Anyway, very impressive. Kudos to the Fenway Park people, whoever runs that store. Very, very organized.
Yes. Kudos to them. Why are you wearing it?
Okay, listen. I'm wearing it because it's a fright. It's a fright. Secondly, the World Series. Talk about frightening. And this is the weird part. Nobody, I don't care who you are, had on their bingo card Texas Rangers and Diamondbacks in the World Series back in April. Nobody, not one person. No one in Phoenix, no one in Texas. All right. Secondly, the lowest watched Game 1 in World Series history.
Yeah.
History. Less than, it was 9 point something million people watched.
Yeah.
Which means a rerun of like some show on the Food Network got more viewers than this game. Which in the Food Network's defense, it was Halloween, like kids baking pumpkins or something contest or something. Okay.
Right.
I'm sure your 11-year-old was riveted to that show.
Right.
All right. And then we have, but the game itself was kind of epic. The Rangers doing what Rangers do. Yeah. The Rangers, and they just don't lose. I think both teams are kind of teams of destiny. If you can argue for sure, I think the Rangers have one leg up.
I think we're in store for a 7-gamer. I do.
I do. I think so too. But it will be worthy of that. I mean, I think this is because when you lose the Dodgers and the Orioles and the Braves and all these teams that were like monster, dynastic potential teams, and they lose like bitches to these like inferior teams that won 88 games, then what's left to do but get at least a 7-gamer, right? So I think we have a 7-game series. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah, I think we do. I think and it's fun. If you're a baseball fan, it's fun because it's like they're kind of two opposites, right? The Rangers are just like are Seager and Garcia just hitting bombs, and
Garcia is like just like going crazy.
Four runs an inning. They bunch their runs with just massive hits and doubles, and then you've got the Diamondbacks.
I want Garcia to hit. I want Garcia to be the only player who gets RBIs for the Rangers and just hits 3 home runs every game and wins the World Series single-handedly. That's what I want.
And then you got the Diamondbacks that just kind of scratch and claw and just, put their speed, everywhere and all through up and down the lineup, and they put together runs. And so you got these two kind of juxtaposing teams. But the Diamondbacks just refuse to take themselves out of it. Every time they lose, they just come back. Every time they lose, they just come back.
And the Rangers haven't lost in the beginning, like 10 games in a row. But then when they do lose, they get blown out, and then they come back and win, scratching. Yeah. So it's a very interesting dynamic. I think you're right. I think a 7-game series. Yeah, roller coaster. I will say this. I will end our podcast with my once again with my plea.
Do us all a favor and end it.
This is the series ender. No, this is my plea to once again to my favorite, Taylor Swift. Taylor, the time is upon us. You're either planning to go to Germany or you're not. So if you are going to Germany,
she's sitting there. She's listening to this right now. And she knows whether she's going or not.
She's petting Olivia Benson, her cat, which, by the way, I am so obsessed with her 5 songs from the vault from 1989, and I have a whole new appreciation of how the whole relationship with her and Harry Styles went down. So, I mean, I actually stopped listening to Harry's album for the first time in a year this week in respect and homage to T Swizzle, because she definitely deserves better treatment than that, although he did give her Olivia Benson, the cat that she loves so much. So I will say this, Taylor Swift, I want Travis Kelce and you to go last the distance. I want you guys to go married, have babies, have cat farms, have mansions everywhere. Just this one game, possibly a playoff game, but just this one game. I want you to.
I might have one more request later. I
may have one more request later. I hold January date open as a possibility for a question, but I will say this: I'm so excited to kind of I don't know. I think she's married the concept of the world around us in popular culture and football, and that's my sweet spot. So welcome to the RPF zone. So anyway, I am that's a welcome to New York type reference in case you're wondering. Anyway, so the point is that Kelce, God, the numbers don't lie, right? 58 yards without.
They don't.
I mean, it's not even subtle. I mean,
it's
it was
so ridiculous.
I mean, at least get to 90 yards or something. I mean, nothing. It was 58 yards. I mean, when was the last time Kelce had 58 yards? I mean, it's like, I think he was on the bench against the Lions.
Last time she didn't show up.
Right. The last time she didn't show up. So I'm hoping that there's an issue with, a visa or a passport problem or something that she can't get to Germany.
Yeah.
God help us all. Anyway, I will see you, Jonah, for breakfast on Sunday morning.
For breakfast on Sunday morning, you heard it first. Hey, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. You can listen to us everywhere you listen to your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, all the great platforms. You can also find us socially over on Instagram and X, as well as our dedicated YouTube channel. Just head to any of those platforms, type in Sports, of course, with Jonah and RPF, and we'll pop right up for your listening pleasure. RPF, here's to a fantastic slate of Sunday football.
I cannot wait. Yeah.